The craziest, the wildest, the most bonkers Money in the Bank ladder match ever. You can see the setting there on the top of WWE HQ. Of course, the Money in the Bank ladder matches took place where the risk was worth the reward. But truly, was it worth the reward for us watching it? That's the big question here today. Hi, my name is Steve. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. NX Steve in the house. We're going to be discussing the corporate Money in the Bank ladder match and amongst the rest of the show as well. And let's kick it off. NXT, what were your overall thoughts with this show?
If I have to watch this show again anytime soon, it'll be definitely way too soon to watch it.
That's a very kind way to say maybe it wasn't for me. Do
you know what it is? I had this thought as I was watching this. I'm surprised they haven't gone back into it and edited audience reactions in over the top of it. Like, I know it's probably not worth it, but I think from a viewing experience, it would probably be a lot more enjoyable if you had plugged in audio, because I forgot how painful it is to listen to wrestling matches with no crowd. It is a shocker. And like I said, I think if they just went back in and piped in crowd noises over the top, it wouldn't be that hard to do, but yeah, it's definitely painful.
So yeah, it's a question I want to get into nice and early, actually, because this is the second pay-per-view premium live event, whatever you want to call it, that was in the pandemic. Obviously 2020, very difficult time for many of us, but lucky the fact that we had entertainment still. So that's kind of where I stood in 2020.
Yes,
I enjoyed this show watching it the first time around, mainly because we had nothing else to do at the time of actually recording it and watching it at that point. But obviously it was 4 years later we're actually doing this, and obviously pandemic wrestling, interesting because I had that real eerie feeling when it got to the first match. You went, oh, there's no one there. Like, you get used to that crowd experience, the crowd environment. But for me personally, I also felt watching the show, it didn't take me very long to get into the idea that there was no crowd there, but actually noticed that a lot more story beats were being done throughout the matches, a lot more smack talk. You had a lot more voices being said out loud during these matches. So did you find that actually helped you get into the storyline narrative of some of the matches, or do you feel that, no, man, I missed this? Where gets the crowd as soon as possible?
Do you know what? I see what you're saying, because especially during like Bayley versus Tamina and Braun versus Bray, I couldn't agree with that. There's definitely some more story beats that were added to the matches, but it's just weird, dude. And it's like I said, if you just piped in some audio now, go in and edit it, it wouldn't. I know it's probably not worth it for the sake of it, but I think it'd just be just a nicer viewing pleasure for someone to go back and watch again.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you when you say that, because like you say, having some form of reaction is good. At the same time, it's good to know what we had at that point, because, that was authentic of what the representation of 2020 was like. It was very difficult. And for some wrestling fans, they couldn't sit through and watch it. And some about, I'm never watching it again. It's going to be interesting to see if other people feel that when they look at this now, and if they've had the opportunity to watch the show again. Do they? Don't they? What do they think now? It'd be interesting to know. If you're watching live, let us know your thoughts of watching pandemic wrestling compared to now. Obviously, being a few years later, we're back to what's seen as the normal. We have sold out crowds everywhere. It's loud each and every time, and arguably a story can be told just as well, if not better, with a crowd, because you get a genuine reaction. Someone needs to see something in ring, you can still get that camera on it. So even if you're not being able to see and hear it in the sort of, I don't know, the upper balconies, if you want, of the actual arena, home, you get everything. So I suppose it does go both ways. But we'll go into our comments very quickly before we jump into the actual start of the video. So we've got Pierre in the house. Says hello to the Steves. Hello, Pierre. Thank you for joining us. Eric is not letting it go. 4 years later, man, he should have been in the women's match. I would have loved if Otis has successfully cashed in. Of course, Otis does win the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Spoiler alert. But you are watching the review, so you should probably know. P.S. I feel bad mostly importantly, when WWE was in the Performance Center, it was really weird and it was really uncomfortable compared to the Thunderdome. Obviously, the Thunderdome doesn't come until SummerSlam. And obviously, that's when we had like the screens everywhere. Obviously, it was like a big Zoom meeting at that point there. But yeah, like you say, a lot better because you actually got genuine reactions from fans. It felt like at least we were performing in front of somebody. But here it's just simply, you even see the ramp. Like, it's a very weird feeling. And the wrestlers and the performers must also hear the commentators. It's a very weird environment, must be performing and working in amongst that at that point.
I think this is where Bayley actually begins her hate for Michael Cole, if I remember correctly, because of this this pandemic situation. But yeah, even the entrances, R-Truths and Big E's. I just honestly, it was painful to watch, because especially with R-Truth, like this guy's entrance is a whole sing-along song, and with like obviously it's R-Truth, so he kind of gets away with it, but it's still painful. Like I honestly, I was wincing the whole way through it.
I can't stand R-Truth's entrance theme at the best of times, but to hear it in like an empty performance center, just I was struggling big time with that there. And like you say, truth can be truth, and he gets away with stuff, but damn, no, that didn't work for me, unfortunately. But I'll tell you what, there's no surprises here. This show had no one there, but it was in Orlando, Florida, at the Performance Center, WWE's Performance Center, with the Raw commentary team for the Raw matches: Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Samoa Joe. Love Joe on commentary. And for SmackDown, we had Michael Cole and Corey Graves. The opening video package was we're getting to see WWE HQ. We see the briefcase, of course, on top. The risk is worth the reward. Or is it? Ask Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black their situation with that at the end of the video. Most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. They're not wrong there. We get a tour of the WWE HQ as well. Every obstacle, every opponent, and every floor. You must get through it all to win Money in the Bank. We also see a shot of the HQ with the ring set up and the ladders. Just to quickly get because we have that shot with us here. We had it at the start of the video. And I wanted to see your thoughts of the WWE HQ and this setting at the top of the roof.
Like, I get it's meant to be for a one-time thing, but it's still, like, looking at this as a still, like, you can see where obviously Baron Corbin commits multiple murders, and like you imagine that they've had to bring those plants up just for an aesthetic in the background. It honestly just looks like it looks like a carny indie show wrestling ring. But you know what? I think most importantly is I think Vince loved the idea of this. I think Vince absolutely wanted this to be a thing when they planned on doing Money in the Bank. Like, I could just think that this was his idea, his dream was to have a match at Titan Towers.
Yeah, do you know what? I kind of get your vibe with that, because obviously it is different, and for the time period, I'm going to say it's creative. Like, we had, we couldn't do the usual song and dance, and obviously we did have a ladder match at WrestleMania, which was, was a good match at WrestleMania when they did it with the tag team titles that was defended in with single superstars, which they did. But at the same time, I just felt to myself that this is fun, it's different. Let's see what they're going to bring to the table. And, I mean, they brought it. But, cinematic wrestling at that point was a way to get us through and give us something different from the norm. So I kind of dug it a little bit, and I was like, let's see what this brings to the table. Obviously, it's a bit different because it's like, I mean, it's not really a ladder match until like the last 5-10 minutes of the match, and it's like over half an hour long for both ladder matches combined. They're going same time as well, but it's something different.
I won't lie though, I lived for that Money in the Bank match. Like, it was what I was genuinely just looking forward to the whole time, because I know it. Like, I watched it. I haven't watched it obviously since it happened, and then you go and watch it again, and you forget some of the things that happened, and you're like, why? Why have they done these certain things? So, I'm honestly genuinely looking forward to dying laughing talking about this main event, man. Because honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it because I just thought it was so funny.
It is quite entertaining, but we're going to make you wait for it, unfortunately, everybody, because of the fact that it is the main event of the show. We need to go through the rest of the show first. So we will go in order of the matches. And we're going to start off then with what was the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The New Day defeating the Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, and what's their names again? It doesn't spring to mind. Oh, yeah, it's the Forgotten Sons. And they retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Looking at this match, I actually thought this was not a bad opener, to be honest. I thought some fun little moments early doors. Obviously, Gran Metalik doing was it a Spanish fly from the top rope to John Morrison to the floor, taking everybody out. I thought it was a really cool way to go. A springboard into a splash as well from Metalik on Morrison for a 2 count. Riker gets involved for the Forgotten Sons. He's on the floor while Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake are actually the team representing, but he pulls Matalik's leg on the top rope for the momentum to change. Matalik would end up being worked on until he can get the hot tag to Lince Dorado, who actually does a West Coast pop to John Morrison for a 2 count. I thought, you go with it in a Rey Mysterio. I really enjoyed that. Biggie holds up Cutler as Kofi does his double stomp off the top rope. It's kind of a bit like a Doomsday kind of feel. Forgotten Sons then hit their finisher on Big E for the Miz and Morrison to jump in and take out the Forgotten Sons. If you wonder what that finish move is, by the way, it's a reverse DDT and double stomp of the second rope combination finisher. But Morrison hits the Starship Pain on Big E, but only gets a 2 counts. We see then Big E sending Kofi over the top rope, sort of splits going over the top rope to land on Wesley Blake. We then see Big E run into the ropes, and Riker gets involved again, pulls the ropes, and the referee sends him to the back. Bit of confusion, certainly questions from even commentaries. It's no DQ in a fatal 4-way match. Surely it should be fine. But the Luchas go over the top rope and take out all the heels on the floor. But then when they get back in the ring, Lince goes into Kofi's Trouble in Paradise, and Big E hits the big ending on Grand Metalik, who's my MVP for this match, to get the 1, 2, 3. Your thoughts of this opening 4-way tag team match?
I agree with you. Grand Metalik had a solid display. Let me ask you this question. Do you remember seeing The Miz tag in at any point? Because I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I think he spends the whole side of this match just on the side, or on the floor. I clocked it at the end and I was like, he's done absolutely nothing here and he's got paid for it. What an absolute steal. But yeah, dude, great opening show. The Lucha House Party, honestly, both of them MVPs, especially Grand Metalik, they put on great shows. The Spanish Fly off the top, like you said, was great. The electric chair drop cave-in is what I like to call it. The Biggie Kofi Kingston move they did, I thought was fantastic. Just a really good fun match. It's shocking, though, that of the 9 people that were out by the ring, only 3 of them are still on the roster now. That's, I think, is really shocking. I think, my personal opinion, I think Morrison was wasted being put back with The Miz. I think he could have come back and done so much more. But, dude, we'll never know, man. It's a great opening match.
It's a solid opening match. I really enjoy it. I think that it was fun. It was filled with a lot going on. I know last year we did Money in the Bank 2016, and then fun enough, the New Day were in a fatal 4-way for those tag team championships. So funny sometimes how things change. They also remain the same. But I thought it was a good time. I thought that Lucha House Party were stars in this match. I think Miz, like I said, got an easy payday. Morrison showed that he's on top form now at this point when he is back in WWE. And the Forgotten Sons wasted potential. I mean, for me, I really enjoyed watching Steve Cutler in particular, seeing what he's done as Steve Macklin in Impact Wrestling since. You think this dude, has gone on leaps and bounds since then. And I just can't help but wonder and think what he'd be like in a WWE environment now in 2024.
Well, you never know. Might be a case of he's maybe coming to NXT at some point. So you never know. There is a possibility there now. Times have changed, obviously, so he might still get a chance to do something in WWE. But yeah. It was just a decent match. The only there was one other thing I was going to say about it now, but it has completely slipped from my mind. But because it was Blake and Cutler, and they just had a great display. And they would probably, aside from Lucha House Party, those two they were like the workhorses in this match because they were just doing everything. Anytime they had an opportunity, they were proper healing it up and they were taking out the teams that were on the apron, and they really honestly had a good display. And it's just a shame that they were stuck with a terrible gimmick and a numpty for a tag team partner. But you never know. So maybe something will change in the future. And like you said, Steve Macklin and doing something in NXT.
It would be good to see if it could ever happen. But let's get your star rating for this match.
I might have rated this too low. I've gone with 2 3/4. I thought it was good. It's just it didn't do nothing to blow my mind. And then obviously that stupid stupid tag team rule where it's 2 people and then they can tag in anyone. My feelings on that. It's a stupid rule.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer one member of every team being in the match. So if there's 4 teams, it should be 4 guys in the ring, 1 representing each, because no one's going to want to tag anybody in and out. So that's the thing that lets it down. So yeah, I kind of understand that. But all in all, I had a good time. I'm going to go with a solid 3 stars for this one. I thought it was a great little match. Only 12 minutes as well for this one, but I think it did everything that it needed to do. Let's go and see what Dave Meltzer's rating was. So fun part is of this one, sometimes you have the times and the stars quite close to one another. They're on completely different websites here and then different pages altogether, so got no idea until I get there. He's actually rated this 3.5 stars for this match, so interesting stuff indeed. Dave is quite a fan of this opener by the look of it.
Yeah, like I said, I think I rated it too low anyway. Like, it was better than probably what I thought most of the show was. Like, yeah, that's it. I think it's me this time that's got it wrong.
We'll have to see. Actually, Eric has completely forgotten about them. Well, Steve Macklin, obviously, is Steven Cutler. He's in TNA right now, tearing it up each and every time. Wesley Blake was doing the Control Your Narrative promotion, but I'm not sure what he's doing since, because that seems to have fizzled a little bit. And for Riker, I believe he's now back wrestling. He took a break where he'd stopped wrestling, but NXT, it looks like you're doing a Google search for us.
Well, Wesley Blake apparently has re-signed with WWE and is a producer for NXT and a coach.
There you are. Interesting. That's good for Wesley Blake.
Yeah, that's according to Wikipedia anyway. So don't quote me on it, but yeah, that's what I've found out.
Hey, you never doubt the wiki. Never doubt the Wikipedia. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But we'll move on in the meantime currently, and we're going to talk about what was I mentioned a couple of things backstage. Lacey Evans has mesmerized the WBHQ, mesmerized, checking those notes. Dodgy handwriting, everybody, but she's also studied the opponents, and she threatens to take Bayley's championship when she wins Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre is with Charlie Caruso, asked if he's the underdog against Seth Rollins. Drew said, look, you can't take away what Seth has done, but you can't take away Drew's heart and passion. Seth talks too much, and he's going to take him to Claymore Country, which moves us nicely on to match number 2. What's up? It's R-Truth versus MVP, a match that when I saw it, and I remember the time when this match was made, I went, what? Why is this on a pay-per-view? I understand, and I'm very grateful, but with the time period, but it just was a match that didn't feel was very pay-per-view worthy at that period. It turned out it didn't end up happening. R-Truth came and did his What's Up in the ring. Then MVP came out, and R-Truth wants to teach MVP about balling, which of course MVP has been balling for about 20 years at this point. Very awkward exchanges between those two. Actually found it quite cringy, to be fair. Lashley comes out though to P and says, look, you have the night off, and he will take his place. R-Truth wants the night off as well, which actually was quite amusing, but that's not happening, of course. Truth accidentally slaps Lashley around the face, trying to say, pretty much that we could do something different, but of course once he'd done that, there was no way out. A dominant Bobby Lashley pretty much squashes R-Truth, to be fair. He hits with a spear when R-Truth had missed with a scissors kick. So all in all, Bobby Lashley, quick match against R-Truth, completely destroyed him. And just to get the timestamp on this match, 1 minute and 40 seconds. So yeah, I probably talked about it longer than what it actually was.
Dude, this is a complete this is a dud match. Like, I think the best part of this was the accidental slap that Truth gives Bobby Lashley. Like you said, don't understand why it's on the card, and like, I can't even give you any more than that. It just doesn't make sense. And like I said, watching R-Truth do his entrance and come out, and I get it, R-Truth kind of gets away with it, but he's still acting like there's 15,000 people in the arena, and it's really uncomfortable to watch. The
thing is, I suppose you should always give everything. No matter if you're performing to no one or everybody, you should always give everything on an entertainment standpoint. But it's just to a point where it's like, it does feel we need to change this thing up at this point, because it's a bit awkward, because I can't imagine sitting at home that you are screaming "What's up" back at the TV. Some of you might be doing it. If you are, please let me know. But I'm not that guy. I would just be going, this is quite an awkward. And it's giving you the same.
It could be worse. You could have the Miz going the awesome Truth every time, because that's even worse than R-Truth's normal music.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a dud. Look, the thing is this is the starting point to Bobby Lashley, MVP, and the Hurt Business. So if we look at that as a storyline point, that ends up being 5-star, because that's the start of the birth of a relationship that pretty much saves Bobby Lashley's career, because Bobby Lashley goes from being someone that was losing in the second match of WrestleMania 36 say 24. WrestleMania 36 to go on and to become United States champion by August time, part of the Hurt Business, to literally make that title one of the most important in WWE, to then drop it because of the fact that he is not going to be pinned in the decision, to make sure he wins the championship in time for WrestleMania and dominate the main event scene for the next 6 months.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is you say he went from the second match on the card at Mania. I think the following year he goes to the first match on the card on the second night because he ends up beating Drew in the first match. And I was like, he's technically gone backwards, but there's a reason why he went on first, because which is what a lot of people miss. Like, you knew Bobby was winning if Drew and Bobby are going on first. That was the reason why that went on first. But I just had to say it because I was like, he technically goes on first the following year.
Technically, you are right with that, but the thing is in wrestling terms, it means you're kicking off the weekend, you're doing something that matters. If you're the first match, if you're the second match, it's deemed as the toilet break. If it's like, if we're talking WrestleMania 8 or WrestleMania 6 or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's the curtain jerker match. But I think it's a bit different in the modern day. Like now it's like you're the first chance to make the big boom, the big splash.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I agree. It's just funny that it's come from second to first. That was all.
Oh, you know, some people don't mind that, but there you go. That's a different conversation for a different day. But hey, anyway, yeah, this one's a bit of a dud, unfortunately. But we'll get Dave Meltzer's rating as well for those that wish to know it, and I can confirm to you that Dave Meltzer has given it a 1-star rating, so a bit higher.
I did give it a 1, actually. I didn't rate it as a dud. I gave it a 1 because at least they had some form of a match. So yeah, it's a dud, but yeah, I did give it 1 star.
Fair enough. I did give it a dud, but okay, Bobby Lashley goes on from there, 5-star, because it is the birth point where it all continues from there. Let's get into some of the comments here. Yeah, WrestleMania 36 was Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with no build-up. That was very true. Very, very true. Let's see what we got here as well. We'll try and keep them based on this show for now, and any special questions we can do later. The greatest men's Money in the Bank match because Otis won the briefcase. Zane, it's controversial, my friend. It's controversial, but I like it. I like that it's controversial. Citizens can't believe that R-Truth is still at in WWE at the age of 52. At this point, he was 48, and MVP called him young. I don't know what MVP is.
Yeah, it's shocking that he's still there. Like, you'd have thought he'd have gone to being a producer or something by now. But hey, man, if he still wants to do it, all props to him.
Absolutely. I know, by the way, it's just I wanted to play along. Right, let's move on in the meantime anyway. King Corbin, backstage, feels good to be king. The risk is worth the reward. Everyone will be referring to him as King Money in the Bank. Has to be the worst Money in the Bank name ever. King Money in the Bank. That's worse than Yeet in the Bank.
Dude, it's a typical Vince promo where he has to say the phrase of the pay-per-view. It's horrible, man. And the fact that all these VTs are like, they're like as if they're recording selfies on their phones. Like, there's no camera crew or anything. They're proper low-quality videos.
They are actually. They're actually really, really bad. But one thing I didn't think was really bad, I didn't mind this match, actually. Bayley defeating Tamina to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, I know that we've already spoke off air. We slightly could differ on this one, but I'll go through some of the detail anyway. Kayla Braxton talking to Bayley and Sasha Banks. Remember her? Apparently, there was an altercation on SmackDown where Sasha potentially was at fault for Bayley losing a match, and they wondered if there was blame put on Sasha. Bayley answered the question for Sasha and said that everyone knows what Kayla's doing. There's no friction and there's no blame. At the start of the match, there's a lot of smack talk. Bayley saying that you can't win a title if you're being nice. Tamina then pushes Bayley into the ropes and hits her with a clothesline in the back. Bayley targets the leg of Tamina, wrapping it round the ring post, followed by a drop kick to the leg as well. Apparently, Tamina's had many leg injuries in her career, which is why it was such a good target for Bayley in this match to go for. But adrenaline gets Tamina back into the match, and she goes to make a comeback, goes for a super kick, gets countered into a knee bar submission. Actually, my favourite part of the match, actually. But Tamina does get to the ropes. Bayley is thirsty on the outside, gets some water. This is during COVID season, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to get Corey Graves water, but then throws it all over Tamina. Makes Tamina mad, who throws Bayley into the barricade and over the announce table. Tamina hits a Samoan drop, and this is where it goes a little bit backwards because Sasha climbs into the ring. Tamina then chases her rather than focusing on Bayley. Bayley looks to try and stop the chase, climbs on what looks to be Tamina's back. Looks like she's going to get another Samoan drop. However, Bayley gets the momentum and gets the roll up for the win. And after the match, before Tamina can hit that Samoan drop on Bayley, Sasha makes the attack and gets the beat down on Tamina. Of course, the heels, Sasha and Bayley, who are MVPs during the pandemic era, walk out tall. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is really filler for the card because it was this they even said like the promo before that they were teasing the Sasha Bayley turn, or one of them turning on the other for the longest time, and I did not like this match. I just thought it was okay. Like I like the story beats of it, like especially the part with the water and Tamina's general reactions, but having water thrown over, and it was like I enjoyed those story beat aspects of it. But to me, this was essentially just filler. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing against Tamina, but I just like this probably could have done with more build or something towards it. But the problem is when you put Tamina in a match, is you can pretty much guarantee that Tamina's not going to win the championship just because of her history and her run in WWE. I mean, off the top of my head, she's maybe been 24/7 champion. I can't really think of many other titles she's won. Maybe she's been a Divas champion, but at this point, it's kind of like she essentially is there to do a job and to really help the story between Sasha and Bayley move along. So, yeah, I said it's not a great match, but I appreciate it.
Absolutely. She did win the Women's Tag Team Championships. It was about a year after this. And actually, Tamina was really over at that point as well. I think it was not long after WrestleMania. I want to say it's with Natalya as well, but someone let me know if I got the tag team partner wrong. But I believe it was Natalya. That was the one that was with her at that point. But yeah, I do feel that Tamina, they kind of could have done more with the story with this one. You knew it was filler. However, I did enjoy the match regardless. But I would agree with Pierre's point. It's all about really the build here of the story with Sasha Banks and Bayley at this point, which of course they do go on to feud later in the year. What would be your star rating for this one?
Probably a bit harsh this one. I gave it a 2. I thought it was okay, but this is really a match that could have been on a Raw or SmackDown.
Absolutely, yeah. I would agree this could have been on a Raw or SmackDown, and I'm going to give it a 2.25 star rating. I think that's where I'm at. I enjoyed it enough to get above the 2 margin. And Pierre, you are right. Obviously, when you said that this was building for that storyline, it was September 2020, which then led to the Hell in a Cell match between Banks and Bayley. They've been building one for a very long time. But the match between Bayley and Tamina, just to give you the time length of the match here, was 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So they've got quite a bit of length of time. And Dave Meltzer rated this a 1.5.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough. I can't argue with it. Like I said, it's okay. It's just a TV quality match for me.
Absolutely. Let's go into some comments, and we will balance with a few other questions, because quite a few other questions have come in. So I want to get everybody involved a little bit here. So Roger says, what is your favorite Baron Corbin character? His is the Lone Wolf. Yep,
agreed. Lone Wolf is best wolf, is best Baron Corbin.
I think it's the best Baron Corbin as well. However, I did like Broke-ass Corbin, or Bum-ass Corbin, when he was completely out on himself.
Wolf Dogs is okay as well, but it just didn't go on long enough.
I agree. That if Braun Breaker wasn't such a star, that should have carried on at least another 6 to 12 months, because that was going crazy.
I reckon at some point in the future those two will re-tag again, and we will get the reuniting of the Wolf Dogs.
Absolutely, and I can't wait for that day. But we've also got worst King of the Ring ever. Corbin is. Would you agree with that? I personally don't.
No, I don't think so. I think Baron Corbin was on telly and made the most of the character. I think that there's people that have won King of the Ring and either not really done it and emphasized the whole point of being it, or it's just never mentioned again. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure some people have won it. I know Austin's won it, and obviously Austin's Austin though, but I'm sure someone has won it before, and like Xavier Woods has won it, and he only really kept the character gimmick for like maybe 2-3 months, whereas Baron did it the whole year round.
Yeah, he did keep it for quite a while, Corbin, and he was obnoxious with it. But while there was once a King Mabel, I can't accept Corbin being the worst ever. So Mabel takes the crown for me. And let's quickly go on to see what we can get next here. Byron, talking about the Elimination Chamber on the Money in the Bank show. Love it. There'll be a Raw and SmackDown Elimination Chamber. I think you could be onto something there, Byron. You could be onto something. Did we like the pandemic WWE era? Asks Sid.
I think there's moments that you can take from the pandemic era, but otherwise it's yeah, I think it has its moments, but I think otherwise it's ultimately a time that I think everyone kind of just wants to forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's a time you want to forget, but I think it's historic, and I think that it is interesting to go back and look at it, which I think is why
Agreed.
at least a lot of people actually chose this show. This was a heavily voted show by our subscribers, so it was fun to go back and do it. It's not the first show we've done in the pandemic either. We've done one Thunderdome, and now we've done one in the PC, so it's interesting to go back and see them.
I'm waiting for you to do my favourite one. We did the Backlash with the zombie lumberjack match.
Good things come to those who wait. That's all I can say. But yeah, I would agree with this last comment here, and we'll go back into the matches after this. The best moment of the pandemic era is Roman Reigns' tribal chief commence. Absolutely, Roman, let's be fair, went on to another level during this era.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. Well, we've had a mini half time, so let's get back into the show then, shall we? And obviously, we will move on to backstage where we had Seth Rollins saying that Drew knows who I am and what I'm capable of. It's my destiny to become WWE champion that we're going to face later in the evening. Seth admires the courage of Drew walking into the fire, knowing the outcome. He will unburden Drew tonight. It's Seth's destiny to carry the company for the greater good. You need Seth as champion the Monday Night Messiah. But of course, that's not the next match. The next match is for the Universal Championship. It is Braun Strowman defeating Bray Wyatt to retain the Universal Championship. Of course, Bray Wyatt is Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt at this point. No Fiend at this particular moment during this show. And yeah, I mean, this one here had a bit of a video package that went with it. Obviously, the Firefly Funhouse story time with the Black Sheep, recapping the history of Braun being in the Wyatt family. And if Bray had been threatened by Braun before, he should be more threatened now because Braun is done with the puppets and done with the Firefly Funhouse. Bray just wants Braun to say sorry and come home. He is a master who knows his creation. But Braun said he is home as champion and he will leave Bray with nothing but to play with his puppets after Money in the Bank. Your thoughts of that little video package we had with Braun and Bray?
Oh, do you know what? Always good to see a Bray Wyatt video package because there's always usually something crazy or something out of it. Kind of like this match, really. There was odd moments of character that I just enjoyed seeing again. So yeah, man, good video package, and I'm pretty sure that they end up going on to have a follow-up match after this as well. Because I like my initial thought with this before you get into the details was that I'm surprised that this wasn't a cinematic match. But then, if I remember correctly, I think the follow-up is a cinematic match.
Yes, the following one is a swamp fight that does take place when they do have their next ones. Yeah, and that certainly is a bit bonkers. Speaking of bonkers matches in the pandemic era, but yes, going into the details of the match, then very story driven, as we mentioned with this one early doors. Braun dominating, using his own strength, but it feels like Bray also has a bit of an issue as well with actually destroying his creation at this point, and obviously saying, well, you're strong, and you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Braun charges into Bray, though, on the floor, but he goes straight into the announce desk. That leads to Bray taking control. Huskus appears as well. Obviously, you have no crowd, so why not have a puppet there? Huskus appears to cheer Bray on, where then Bray would hit a tornado DDT from the corner, followed by Sister Abigail, but Braun kicks out at 2. Bray is shocked at the kick out, screaming, I know. Bray then goes for Sister Abigail again, but pauses for a moment, again, not wanting to destroy his own creation, you could argue. That's certainly what commentary said, regardless. Braun counters, though, with a chokeslam. Braun then hits the Strowman Express on the floor, and then Strowman looks to get back in the ring. Bray's already there and hits a desperate kick to Braun, who hits his face and head on the ring apron before crashing to the floor. Bray then left in the ring for a moment, and we get the camera shot, and this is where the match for me, I'm going to now go in opinion territory of just detail, takes a bit of a turn to me. Is it a good or a bad turn? That I'll leave just for a couple of moments. But when we see Braun appear back up, he comes back up with the Black Sheep mask on. Teases to come home with Bray Wyatt, with all the puppets at ringside celebrating that Bray will be coming home, kind of like England hoping that a World Cup would come home as well. But I had to get it in there. But Bray, obviously, we saw Huskus, we saw Mercy the Buzzard, we saw Sister Abigail, and of course we saw the Rattling Rabbit as well. But look, it's an awkward moment. They hug in the ring, and it feels that Bray is like, it's going to be better, it's going to be different this time. But instead, we see Braun take the mask off. He then stamps on the mask, picks up Bray Wyatt, hits a power slam, and Braun wins. And he screams at Bray after the match, saying he's the reason he's got this far, not Bray. And as we see Braun leave the ringside, Bray then actually teases the Fiend will be coming into the party next time around. Your thoughts on Braun Strowman defeating Bray Wyatt?
Kind of along the same lines as the Bailey Tamina match. Like, this is essentially building to something bigger. Obviously it does, because they go on to have the swamp fight match, and it's, again, this is more filler for the pay-per-view. And I'm kind of in two minds with the whole mask thing. One, where did he pull the mask from, essentially? Because, kayfabe is the thing. But like I said, it's stupid, but it's building to a bigger purpose, which is why I can kind of let it go. Otherwise, the match is fine. It's just, it's two big guys doing big guy moves, and like, Bray's just excellent. Like, even at the start when he comes out and he's acting like that Mr. Rogers kind of character, and do you know what I mean? And I just find it, he's so entertaining, and he gets away with it. But otherwise, it's just an okay match, really.
I actually enjoyed this match up until the Black Sheep got involved, because of the fact that I just felt, although it kind of makes storyline sense with the narrative, like obviously you look at the video package, you look at everything, it does play out good. And obviously, yeah, because it goes cinematic, doesn't it, for that second. And the thing is that Bray's the master of the mind games, but he's the one that's been outdone in the mind games here, because Braun pretty much suckers him in and gets the win. I kind of feel like, okay, it's cool, but I just think when you watch it, there is just this very awkward feeling for me when I'm watching it, that I don't have the effect that I think that WWE were looking for with this when it was played out. However, I still think that, like you said, it's building something bigger, and it builds to the swamp fight. It builds to these two also facing at SummerSlam also. So this does carry on for a couple more shows. So like you say, it's a filler point in the feud, arguably.
If arguably, that the whole mask thing is probably something they could have saved for the cinematic match. I think doing it on a normal pay-per-view match is kind of redundant, and it doesn't make sense, because it just kills the momentum of what is a half decent match. But I suppose they have to have some sort of creative spot to protect Bray. But like you said, Bray's meant to be the master of mind games, and to be outdone by a guy in a sheep's mask is a bit stupid, really. But yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. But like I said, it's just an okay match anyway.
Is it an argument that the student's been taught so well by the teacher that the student actually can go off and teach the teacher?
Not really, because I don't even think I don't think Braun was ever like. He's just meant to be a big guy. He's meant to be a powerhouse, an enforcer type. Like, at no point have they ever tried to make him seem like he's a smart wrestler. I mean, like, the guy won Money in the Bank, for God's sake, and failed his cash in. So, do you know what I mean? He can't be that clever, really, can he?
As McAfee says, he's one big son of a bitch. That's pretty much what he is. So, yeah, fair play to him. But no, Braun gets the win here. And like you say, this goes on to another day. I must say that I remember watching this in 2020, and I wasn't a big fan of the puppets in 2020 being involved. But I actually enjoyed that more this time around, because I just felt to myself that they don't have an audience. So it is, I can see the creative reasoning behind why they would do it, trying to think into it a bit deeper. So I will say that I actually think that is a more clever spot. But hey, we've gone into what we think of the match. I suppose it's time to go into star ratings of the match that took place between Strowman and White, which went for 10 minutes and 55 seconds.
I went with a 2.25. I rated this slightly better than what I thought Bailey and Tamina's was.
That's fair. I've gone for a solid 2-star. For me, I think this would have been on the 2.5, closing towards 3. Like I said, the finish didn't hit me the same way as what I think they wanted it to. I think had they done that, I think they would have executed the 3 or above. But for me, I've gone with a 2-star rating. We'll go and see what Dave Meltzer's rating for this match was. Let's have a look. Oi, hello. I didn't expect this one. Dud. I didn't feel this at all by the look of it.
Oh, okay. We're kind of all balancing each other out tonight, I think. I think there's some higher rating somewhere and some lower rating somewhere else. So we're kind of on the even playing field.
We are indeed. That's what we like to see. A bit of balance and a bit of variety in this. Pierre, of course, yes, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. We do miss him, his creativity, absolutely, and yeah, he's always going to be missed. One of a kind in the wrestling world. Let's go and see. We've got another question for us now. What was our favorite Money in the Bank cash-in? Since was actually Bayley cashing in on Charlotte Flair in 2019. What's your personal favorite?
I mean, obviously Seth's is kind of like the most iconic, but I do have a soft spot for Carmella's just because it was hilarious and the ref played his part so well. It was so good that when Carmella cashed in on Charlotte Flair.
Seth's is iconic and it's always going to be seen as the best Money in the Bank cash-in ever, but for me, Dolph Ziggler, the Raw after Mania, on Alberto Del Rio. I was a big fan of Ziggler for years and really wanted to see him get to that spot. So, yeah, I popped big time when Ziggler won the world title there. It's just a shame that nothing more came of it afterwards. But as a moment, I think it's up there, one of the strongest ones in Money in the Bank history for sure. But of course, Edge's as well, the original can't be ignored either because that we didn't even know what was expected or what was coming. And that was pretty darn awesome when it was done as well and executed. So shout out to Edge as well. And darn right, yes, the pop Dolph got that night probably was not matched for the rest of his career, sadly. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we will look what's on the notes. If there was, I really was excited to talk about this because who remembers the hacker, ladies and gentlemen? We got the vignette for the hacker. The truth will be heard. Oh dear me!
This is the beginning of Retribution, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed the beginning of Retribution. Of course, the hacker gimmick was someone that was watching everything in WWE, saw all these interviews and stuff backstage and in the ring, and the truth will be heard was meant to be poor Mustafa Ali, which was a character that just didn't happen in the end. Instead, it was linked with Retribution, and I suppose the less said, the better.
Dude, for the amount of money that WWE makes, excuse my French here, that was the shittest green screen I've ever seen when he's sitting in front of the monitors. And I was like, seriously, you couldn't have just paid a technician to put like 6 or 7 monitors together and actually made a proper setup. Instead, you had the worst green screen. In fact, you've got some guy and all he does is, what is that, man? Like, I watched it and I literally the fear and dread I got from seeing it, and I was like, oh my god, get rid of it, turn it off quickly, fast forward, just get rid of this off my screen.
Absolutely. We all want to forget, but Pierre, sadly, we can't do it. We can't forget. No. We can't forget. Obviously, I remember Jonesy was on the channel quite a lot of that time, was really hyped about the
I loving it. I bet he was loving it.
He was loving it. He was loving the Retribution when it first came in, and all of a sudden it all came crumbling down, and feel bad. Still one of the worst storylines to this day, sadly, and unfortunately it happened during pandemic wrestling. But hey, he is doing everything incredible right now, which is good to see. And yeah, he is having an incredible career, especially with TNA as well right now. Mustafa Ali is doing great things. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we will talk about Drew McIntyre next now, retaining the championship, WWE Championship, in his first proper defense against Seth Rollins. Although, say first proper defense, he did defeat the Big Show at WrestleMania, technically the main event of WrestleMania 36. So, yeah, the first pay-per-view afterwards. But we got the video package. The dream is to get to the top, but of course it makes Drew the target. You see Seth attack Drew McIntyre. Seth says that he's trying to save Drew. It's his destiny to lead the company and not Drew. He's honorable, but not a leader. WWE needs someone to guide them. And Drew just says, well, Seth is full of shit. Murphy is a disciple that tries to aid Seth at the end of a contract signing, but Drew hits the Claymore, and Drew says he wants Seth to come for the throat because he will. And well, we see modern day Drew McIntyre. He certainly will go for the throat. Your thoughts on the video package?
You dude, excellent, man. Like, obviously we've just had this match at Mania, and like, I completely forgot about this match. Like, forgot how good it was, and the video package. Although the Messiah version of Seth is not my favorite iteration of him, I still thoroughly enjoyed this and was very much looking forward to this match.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the Messiah gimmick. I know it had to kind of transition from the Seth that we had because he got destroyed as a babyface with the feud with the Fiend, unfortunately, at the end of 2019. So he needed the change, and this was his change at that point, turning heel and going to the Messiah gimmick. Having, I think it was Buddy Murphy and the Authors of Pain. Of course, the Authors of Pain, I think, were released, though, by this point.
About a week later.
Yeah, something like
They
that.
first
Yeah,
5 in,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, so Murphy was still there, obviously a part of the group, and yeah, I mean, I think that when I look into the match, though, this is a solid match between these two. I think this is a possible a candidate for match of the night here. Drew has a strong showing at the start of the match, showing he's not affected by the Seth mind games, but Seth though does get into the match with a drop kick to the knee and a sling blade. Seth then does a couple of dives to the floor through the second rope, desperate to show Drew that this is actually his destiny. He hits Drew multiple knee strikes to the head as well, including one jumping off the announcer's table. He goes for another dive through the ropes. However, Drew catches him and does an overhead belly to belly over the announcer's table. That was a fun spot. Seth then lands a frog splash and Drew kicks out at one. Seth goes to grab a steel chair, but then actually goes for a curb stomp instead, which is countered. Seth does a superplex and a Falcon Arrow combo for a 2 count, classic Seth. But then Seth jams Drew's leg upside down in the corner. He's just hanging there. He's also targeting the knee. But then Drew sort of manages to pull himself back up to sort of throw Seth off the top rope, kind of like a German suplex. Really another impressive looking spot. Seth hits the curb stomp for a 2 count. He would actually attempt another, but gets a Glasgow kiss for his trouble. Seth would then hit a super kick that would send Drew into the ropes, and Drew would bounce back off and hit a Claymore for the win. And after the match, Drew does shake Seth's hand, showing the sign he is as a champion, and of course sending Seth into complete obscurity and madness. The feud with Rey Mysterio for eye for an eye. But yeah, let's not talk about that for now. What's your thoughts with Drew versus Seth?
Dude, love this match, and the one thing I generally was thinking the whole way through this was a live crowd would eat this up. This was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The finish is superb. The 5 move where you've got obviously the stomp that's countered into the Glasgow kiss, then the super kick, then the Claymore. Just a great way to finish. Like you said, when he's upside down in the corner and he pulls off that German suplex. Seth hitting that superplex ball over the Falcon Arrow. Dude, this is just a solid match. I love this, man. Thought this was great, entertaining stuff. And yeah, like I'm glad that they redid this at Mania this year. Like I genuinely, like I said before, I forgot that this match existed. And this is honestly, if you're going to go back and watch something aside from the Money in the Bank match from this pay-per-view, it's definitely this match. You can see why these two have got such good chemistry. And yeah, man, like it's almost like the prequel to the Mania match from this year.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I really enjoyed this match. I think great in-ring work between the two. Like I said, they've got good chemistry. And Pietsch makes a good point here. Other stuff like that, there's no crowd. Really good first match between these two. Like you said, they go on to have the following chapters: Crown Jewel in Saudi, Raw Day 1, WrestleMania 40. Hey, it could happen at Money in the Bank this weekend again, a few years later, if Drew wins Money in the Bank and cashes in on Seth if he wins the title. But of course, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like this is just solid. And at this moment, when you look back at 2020, Seth was kind of finding his way with this gimmick. I felt at this point, obviously going for the championship felt like a natural direction for him because he was a top name ready to go for the title. Drew needed that established name to beat to solidify him as champion, to go on to arguably be the workhorse champion of the pandemic era. Of course, he was outstanding as champion at that time. Like I say, I think Seth was just the right guy to be there at that place. And yeah, just great stuff all around.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Yeah, just yeah, like it's just back off what you said, dude. Honestly, obviously we're still waiting for that moment where he gets a proper championship run in front of a crowd. Like we've had it for what was it, 5 minutes and 46 seconds or something stupid like that at WrestleMania this year. But when he finally gets his run and he can do his shtick in front of a live crowd, it'd be great.
Absolutely. I wish this match was in front of a live crowd, but still was awesome nonetheless. 19 minutes and 22 seconds. What would be a star rating for Drew versus Seth?
3 3/4 for me. Like I said, it's missing a couple of things. Like I said, I think obviously no crowd is. You have to play it into the factor because the intensity and the anticipation stuff with a live crowd kind of like is one thing that they have to play off. But otherwise, it's a solid, great match.
It's a great match. Yeah, I've gone for 3.5 for me. Brilliant stuff to watch. But like you say, it's I really, when I look now, I love the dynamic as Seth as the face and Drew as the heel. Although it worked for Drew at the time, I think Drew was the guy that needed to get to the spot. Like I said, Seth was the right place, right time. But it's not my favorite incarnation of the Seth character. Therefore, I think the story's fine, But I think when I look at it now, what I've seen the story play out this sort of last 6 months or so, I've really enjoyed their chemistry and their work more on the reverse roles. So for me personally, I think it's good, on the verge of very good, but I think that we've seen better with these two. So yeah, that's why I've gone for the 3.5 star rating. We'll go and see what Dave Meltzer's got to say about this one. His star rating, 4.25 stars for this one. So
yeah,
actually
that's acceptable. Yeah,
acceptable indeed. But we're going to go into the comments with this next one here. And we got Austin Theory was a part of this group as well. We did miss out his name at this particular time.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was there. Oh, do you know why? I just it's the eye for an eye match, and you just remember Buddy being there and trying to get it on with Dom's little sister, and do you know what I mean? You just forget Theory had the smallest part ever to play in that story.
Apparently, Andrade was supposed to join this group at some point. Don't remember that, but maybe that was meant to happen at some point. But thanks anyway, Byron, for that one. Thank you very much, Roger, by the way. Give the stream a thumb up if you can. If you hit the like button, it does go a long way. It does help everyone. We're about to get into the good stuff as well. We're about to get into that Money in the Bank ladder match, obviously, in WBHQ. So it's a good time for other people to be checking into the video at this point. But random question. If you were a wrestler, what would be your wrestling name? Zane would actually be Mickey Drippin.
Oh, on the spot, I couldn't tell you. I don't know, because I don't really like my real name, so I'm a bit buggered there. Dave, there you go. My wrestling name would be Dave. Dave.
Best name ever. Just coming to the ring, Dave. Big Dave. Big Dave.
What's the one Lillian Garcia calls Kane by accident that time when he comes down to the ring? Oh, there's one. There's one. I'll have to find it for you and send it to you. I can't remember what it is now, but there's a moment where Kane's coming down and she calls him she calls him something else. It's not even his real name. It's just like some genuinely weird name. I have to find it. It's too funny.
And here comes Glenn. Yeah.
Almost.
Good work. Smokey Joe would be Roger's name. Let's fair play on that one. I'm just going to say, because the thing is, it's very hard when you have not thought about this for more than 20 seconds. So I'm just going to say Super Kick Steve. It sounds like a good jobber name, doesn't it? So yeah, I'll go with a good old jobber name, Super Kick Steve. He only appears on main event.
WWE, your name normally has to be 2 first names. So your surname has to be this a common first name as well. For essentially for me, it'd be like Dave. So yeah, I'll go with Dave. Dave squared like Paul Buchanan back in the day.
There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. If that's not worth a like, I don't know what is, really, to be fair. So yeah, hit that like button if you can. But yeah, I think we've been talking about this long enough. I was curious. I looked ahead of time on this one, and I've noticed Dave Meltzer has not rated either Money in the Bank ladder match. There's just no rating.
Outrageous.
Outrageous. For shame, Dave. For shame. But we're going to rate it. That's what we're going to do, because that's the kind of people we are.
We got some issues to talk about with this as well.
Strap yourselves in, people. We're here for a while. It's the Money in the Bank ladder matches at WBHQ. First off, as the cinematic format of this was the right thing to do, to have both men and women's matches taking place at the same time. Would I be correct in saying that?
Absolutely, yeah. It gets a bit whiffy at the end when the women's one ends first, but then all of a sudden they all teleport and they're non-existent at the end. I think there's 3 ladies still in the ring, and then all of a sudden, 4 seconds later, they've all disappeared somewhere, and the men pop up. Yet Baron Corbin had been there for 5 minutes, so there's a bit of continuity errors. I think is more kindly what the word is, but yeah, it's a bit strange.
It's kind of like a glitch that you see in the WWE 2K20 game, so it's perfect for around the time period. Yeah. So yeah, I think it worked naturally, if we're being honest. But look, if we go just to let people know who's in each match, I think if you're unaware, then let's go through it. The men's match, we've got AJ Styles, we have Otis, we have Aleister Black, King Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and Daniel Bryan. Good lineup if you want for the men. For the women, Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, Carmella, Shayna Baszler, Dana Brooke, and Asuka are the ones that take place. And of course, it starts this match on the ground floor, and they have to work their way to the roof to where, as we saw at the start of the video, somewhere in the middle of the video, here it is again. They've got to get them to the top of the building, where naturally a ring has been set up. There are about 50 ladders by the look of it there. And of course, you have to then climb and get the briefcase, which, to be fair, it's in the sky. I don't know where it's hanging from. I don't know. Is Vince made up with God? That's what I need to know. Is God holding hold of the briefcases so that someone will just grab it? I don't know, but maybe it's not the roof.
There is an issue with one of the competitors in these two matches. She's a bit of a numpty. I'm pretty sure she got the briefing before, but we'll get to that point and when we get to in the match.
Can't wait because it's fun. It's very good fun. Right, okay. Let's go and start then from the beginning, and we're going to work our way through. I think, though, we're going to take breaks in this and talk about it as we go through, because there's just no other way to do this. Otherwise, I don't think it's not fair. So the women's match begins in the lobby. Everybody's waiting, and then Asuka appears on a balcony above everybody. As soon as that bell rings, she jumps straight off the balcony onto the other 5 women, just knocking them complete flat out. Asuka then gets up and gets straight to the lift. And 2 or 3 of them get up just as she's hit the button. And as the door closes, they don't just get there in time. And we get to see a camera as well in the lift of Asuka dancing, because it was dancing Asuka at that point. That was her gimmick. That was her shtick. And so we see her dancing on the lift, which, let's be fair, was a fun touch. My first nitpick at the match, my first pro of the match, Asuka diving off was a fun way to just, it just shows it's bonkers to kick it off. We're starting off in style. But surely you'd hit the top floor if you're going to hit a button in the lift.
Yeah, that was my thing. This is a thing, right? I know that in the States specifically, there's certain buildings, they're built weird, and you can only get a lift so far, then you have to get out and go to another lift to go up further. So I think it's just an architectural structure design that makes this a bit iffy. My other actual issue is why Carmella is doing the moonwalk, and all I can hear is every time she squeaks her trainers across the floor, because I was like, oh, it's just making my bones chill. That one, it was really bad.
You could say I agree with the Carmella thing, but I actually made a really good point there, because actually going to the States, I went to the Empire State Building, and to go up the first 86 floors, you're in one lift, and then to go up to the next floors, which I think is the 102nd, 103rd floor, you actually have to take a different lift. So actually, you do make a very good, but maybe that's something there that actually you just have to get out at that point. So yeah,
it's not a very tall building though, so it kind of, that doesn't seem like that would be logically make sense. But I know that is a thing in the States.
There you go. So that's our way of making sense of something that potentially didn't make sense. Kayfabe. We're all here for it. The men's, though, starts off in the gym. Obviously, a bit of backwards and forwards. And I think there's 2 main points of this one. First off, we see Baron Corbin throw a weight, misses, goes straight and crashes into the mirror. Baron Corbin's career hasn't recovered since. Is it really 7 years bad luck?
First of all, I thought he was on a mission to kill someone. I think that was his goal for this whole match, was to murder someone. And yeah, you can kind of tell, because they do an awkward pause afterwards as well, where he's kind of just looking at the mirror. It's like, nuts. That's me for the next 7 years. And yeah, you're right. He's been he's been a tag team champion in NXT ever since, and I think that's all he's achieved, and it's shocking. They might have been a United States champion, but yeah, he's not gone very well for Corbin since.
He was a bum-ass Corbin. Apparently was happy at one point as well. But hey, look, the other note of that one was Otis with the big weights.
Oh yeah.
Putting it on top of AJ Styles. AJ couldn't move. He even begged Rey Mysterio for help, and Rey just like, nah, you're on your own, mate. It's loco. Come on.
Dude. Oh, I forgot how Otis used to be, and he started waffling random stuff. Like there's a bit just after where they turn a corner, and Otis is running down the corner, and he says something about leaving the weights on AJ's chest, and I had to watch it back about 3 or 4 times because I was like, I can't make out what he's trying to say, but I know he's just rambling random stuff.
He's like the modern day Ultimate Warrior, isn't he? With the way he's in this match.
Definitely agreed.
It's superb. Yeah, so they're running down the hallway afterwards, and this is where Otis makes this weird sentence. And Rey Mysterio is the last one there, and of course he passes the bathroom. This is when you're getting the filler point of this show, and we get our first cameo. Brother Love, I love you. All dressed up in the white suit, the red face, and everything. It's just okay, Bruce. Good to see you. Yeah.
Why doesn't the bathroom have a door on it? Why is it just an open doorway? That's really confusing to me. But yeah, that randomly at, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, whatever time it is, Brother Love's still at headquarters. Well, I was going to say whatever he's doing. His job, he's still using the toilet at that time of night. Very strange. But yeah, great appearance. Wasn't expecting it. It is better than one of the other appearances we'll get to shortly. But yeah, it's due, man. It's for, I think that was for the old guys like us that know who he is.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think I know where you're going with that as well, funnily enough. But yeah, superb stuff. But anyway, we then see like a beat down in the hallway. So basically, we see the girls come out over the stairs. Oscar comes out of the lift. I think guys have brought into the lift. They come out as well. And then it's sort of a beatdown going on, and we end up seeing Doink the Clown at the end of this segment. But it's a bit weird because Daniel Bryan also is doing like the yes kicks to Corbin, who's tied up in ropes, and we just see Otis going like yes while shaking his bits. Bit uncomfortable to watch and a bit weird at the same time.
Yeah, a bit mesmerizing. Like I was transcended. I was just stuck watching it for some reason. And dude, that is not Doink the Clown. That's just a guy in a clown's wig. I'm like, who is that? Is that genuinely meant to be Doink the Clown?
If you don't have the costume, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it gets the great face, but they don't even have the right wig.
Do you know, I'm going to Google it now while you're talking still. I want to find out now who this clown is. Because I was like, it doesn't even look like Doink the Clown. It looked more like it was trying to be Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons.
Could be. You never know. It could be. Anyway, we'll move on in the meantime. And whilst we see that going on, Dana is in the conference room, and she manages to beat down the others, and she sees a briefcase hanging above this table in the conference room. She takes off. It's a briefcase full of money. I'm not sure. If I'm not going to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, I'm happy to take this one home, but apparently it's not the right one. She's celebrating that she thinks she's won, and Stephanie says, sorry, this is just the Money in the Bank conference room. So what are you doing here? Get to the roof. That's where it actually is. And Nia's on the floor. She's drooling everywhere. It's disgusting.
Dude, one, Dana Brooke is apparently the biggest idiot in the world, because the fact that you've been told it's on the roof and you can clearly see it's a transparent briefcase full of cash. That's not the right briefcase. And then the fact that we get this poor transitional cut to Stephanie McMahon in the room with her, because she's all like, oh, this is the Money in the Bank conference room. And I'm like, yeah, Stephanie's not really there. This is, why have you done this? Just get on with it, man. It was so bad.
It's awful, to be fair. Like you say, it's just a clear thing of like cut in. Yeah. This has been recorded like a long time ago, cut out kind of thing. But hey, they're trying to do their thing and they're trying to be creative, so I'll give them for that. AJ Styles is still searching for Rey Mysterio. He then finds a picture of the Undertaker, and of course, then he ends up opening the door after being a bit freaked out and sees like the purple lighting, a coffin inside, or casket. Undertaker fans. Aleister Black kicks him and throws him in the room, and we just see AJ kind of freaked out for about a couple of seconds.
So we obviously have just had the Money in the Bank conference room. What kind of room is this meant to be with a casket in it? Like, what theme is this meant to orientate around? Like, is this the Buried Alive conference room? I'm a bit confused to what it's meant to be, but dude, AJ is great in this moment.
AJ is awesome as well. I'm going to kayfabe it again. I think what's meant to be another conference room is just overtaken by the Undertaker, just to freak out Styles just for a couple of moments. I think
just for the moment.
just for the lols. I'm not coming back. I got my win. I've retired. Here you go. Be freaked out, you know? So I think that's just what they were going with that. Then comes to my favorite part of this, and it's not actually what it leads to. It's just Paul Heyman. I don't care. I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I genuinely love everything this guy does because he can make the smallest things into moments of brilliance. Just the fact he's going to have nice bit of catering, and he picks up a bit of salad and like, nah. And then picks up the big sandwich, like, yeah, this is the thing. It's just about to have that big satisfied. You know when you get your favorite food, and you're just gonna have that first satisfied bite, and you're like, yeah. That's it right there. And he's interrupted by literally everybody. And then we just see Otis go into an absolute Ultimate Warrior fit. Food fight. And then, literally the food fight kicks off. But the best part of the food fight for me is Rey Mysterio getting destroyed by Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
Followed by getting squashed by Otis and Nia Jax at the same time. Poor Rey Mysterio. It doesn't get better for him after this either.
Dude, honestly, it made no sense. The fact that Shayna just turns around and goes, boom, just clutches in that sleeper hold of Ray. Ray's all like, and all of a sudden just killed. Dude, fantastic. I was honestly, I never laughed so much in my life, and this match is just great.
It's just, the thing is, like, I mean, it's not even in her match. There's another one of these where it gets involved as well. But brilliant nonetheless. Brilliant. Then we see Otis go to another room that seems to be catering related, where he gets a pie, and then John Laurinaitis gets involved and streams people power for another cameo, and he gets a pie to his face, which, to be fair, deserved. We then see all the wrestlers running to try and get towards the top of the headquarters. There's a guy that's been cleaning the floors. 4 of them get through. Couldn't tell you which 4, but I can tell you one thing. Dana tries to get through, slips, bangs her head, boom.
Dana's never seen again for the rest of the match. That actually takes her out. She gets a concussion, apparently, from a wet floor. To be fair, there was no wet floor sign down.
I think there's a lawsuit in that. Just saying.
Hey, they've got it on video evidence, so she could still get away with it.
Absolutely. Kayfabe evidence there could go in her favour. She's been in NXT recently. She could make it happen. Anyway, then comes the other real brilliant moment of this match, because to be fair, I think this is my favourite actual moment of the actual fighting. Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles are fighting outside, and they go into another office, and it turns out to be Vince McMahon's office, and he turns around with them fighting, and he just yells at both of them, "Get out!" Both of them then sort of point and blame each other, and then just before they leave, they tidy up the office, which I think is brilliant. Then we get a shot to Vince McMahon, who sanitizes himself as well, and then we see them two sort of bicker outside with Bryan and Styles, pretty much just saying to each other, like, dude, like, oh, you were a bit of a coward in there. So you were the one that said we should tidy up. It's like, yeah, okay, let's fight. Boom, off it goes. I just think that's brilliant.
Dude, I remember so specifically to watch Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan the whole time is trying not to crack up laughing. It is so funny, man. Like, yeah, honestly, again, great cameo by Vince. But this was the other thing as well. This was like, I appreciate it, but it was random. The fact that Vince turns around and the music is just playing over the top, because there's no commentary the whole way through this right till the very end, which is a bit weird. But all of a sudden, Vince just turns around and we got no chance. This is what you got. And I'm like, okay, we all know who Vince McMahon is.
Oh, it's a great cat. Of all the cameras we've done, it's the one that's executed the best, because it actually really had an impact on the performance and just the match.
And he was there.
Yeah, and it makes sense he'd be there as well. So it kind of does add up. So yeah, fair play to that. We then actually see people that are looking to get to the roof. We've got Nia, Lacey, and Asuka that make it there first. Nia seems to dominate, gets herself a ladder. Asuka pulls Nia down. Lacey hits the woman's right to Nia Jax, knocking her out. We then see Lacey get onto Asuka's back as they're both looking to climb the ladder. Nia gets back to her feet, and Asuka hits a back forearm to Lacey, who actually then goes flying off of the back of Asuka, landing on top of Nia, taking both of them out. And obviously Corbin was actually looking to get to the roof as well at that point, and she goes to meet Asuka at the top of the ladder. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Corbin, instead of trying to say, let's win the ladder matches together, I'm going to try and stop Oscar from winning her one. So from his own trouble, he gets a kick in the face and actually gets knocked to the ground.
It makes no sense. Like,
No.
there's no. This was the one thing I noted. I think this is the actual one flaw with this match is there was no, not even like on the previous episode of Raw or SmackDown where someone like Lacey Evans, for example, turns around to King Corbin and says, "Oh, let's help each other win." It's just Baron for some reason thinks that Asuka's going to take the men's one for some reason. It doesn't make sense at all. But the fact that Asuka chins him and knocks him off the top, fair dues, man.
Absolutely. And then she gets the briefcase. She celebrates. And like you say, we have a 2K20 glitch. They disappear. Women don't exist. And all of a sudden, it's the men's turn to get involved, where we see Otis come there first. Hold on, excuse me. Otis then breaks a ladder trying to climb it when he goes on the first rung. We then sort of see Aleister Black come in there, hits Black Master Otis. He and Rey Mysterio both make it at the same time. They get up and climb up the ladder. AJ Styles comes up and pushes both Aleister Black and Rey off. This is then where Rey ends up going to the floor. And Corbin, you might want to lay low because you might be wanted for murder. He throws Rey Mysterio off the roof of the HQ. Little did we know a short time later that actually there was another part of the roof that was just over that. But still, he tried to kill a man.
Yeah, I was agreed. Yeah, he did not care. He was willing to go down for murder to get that briefcase. It would have been no good to him because he'd have to cash it in within a year. I'm pretty sure he'd be doing 7 to 10 for manslaughter.
Make it then 14 to 20 because that's the Black went flying off for there 30 seconds later.
Very true. He does commit it twice, yeah. And yeah, everyone to this point, like I remember for the days after, everyone's like, well, Rey Mysterio's dead, Aleister Black's dead. Like it was kind of like how Chad Gable was after the White Six. Like, oh, yeah, Chad Gable's dead. Yeah, no. Yeah, but then like I said, unfortunately that picture you showed at the start, honestly, if you look at it like for the long enough, you'll see the crash mats where they land. But yeah, honestly, the bottom left corner there, you just think you don't realise what it is until Baron Corbin commits mass murder.
It's a lovely looking crash mat, to be fair, though.
Yeah.
If you had to go flying and be written off of a match somehow, that crash mat is the way to go. But still, yes, I love that. I love it. If you stay long enough, you'll find it. Obviously, then we get down to the final four then at this point because, Daniel Bryan enters the situation as well. He meets AJ on the ladder. Corbin and Otis getting on the mix as well. And it seems that AJ and Corbin get the better. So the heels get the better of the babyfaces at this point, and they brought at the top of the ladder. And this is my other slight grievance with this match. Both men retrieve the briefcase at the same time. It is taken off the latch. It is taken off. And obviously at that point, that's when Elias makes an appearance out of nowhere, hits Corbin over the back with the guitar. So Corbin goes crashing off of the ladder. AJ then fumbles the briefcase, and someone just has to be standing at the bottom of the ladder, which is Otis, who just happens to catch the briefcase. Oh, yeah. And Otis wins Money in the Bank. And of course, if you want it just a bit awkward, the show finishes with what seems a voice-overed Michael Cole just showing the shot of both of them winning Money in the Bank, and it's very quickly going off air. There was no kind of like feeling or I suppose a moment to let it sink in. It's just kind of like, well, that was weird and bonkers.
No, like end of pay-per-view video package like they normally do. It just ends. And even Michael Cole's commentary, to be fair, it genuinely sounds like it's come from the 2K game. Like, it doesn't even... He's got no enthusiasm for it. And then the fact that you don't have no commentary through the whole match, and all of a sudden his voice just pops up right at the end, is kind of jarring. I'm like, you could have just left it without the commentary, to be fair.
You could have done. You probably could have. Do you know what I would have liked? It's just... And this is actually a nitpick on the match. Just a nitpick. But I would have liked them to have been like, we're on standby. We're going to let this play out. But... I think the one moment they should have actually went, look, we're meant to let this play out, but damn it, what happened to Rey Mysterio? What happened? Like, they killed it. Like, they should have really emphasized and actually, like, we need to get involved in this. This is serious. Because, like, at the end of the match, they're kind of like, Oscar wins, Otis wins. No one cares about Rey and Aleister Black have gone flying over the roof.
Because if I remember correctly as well, every other match was live apart from this match. This was pre-recorded at the time, wasn't it?
It was.
So yeah, do you know what I mean? They had ample time and opportunities to voice this over a hell of a lot better than what they did with it. And unfortunately, just the commentary just ruins it for me a bit on the end.
Well,
to be fair, the result of Otis winning ruins it. To be fair, not just the commentary.
Otis Oscar winning makes sense, and of course she won the Raw Women's Championship the following night. Otis winning made no sense whatsoever, and some people will turn around and say, "Oh, the worst, cash in, or worst, therefore the worst winner is Austin Theory." I agree that it's the worst cash in ever, but it's not the worst winner ever. It's Otis, because what sense would it make of Otis to win a world title at that point? It just made zero sense at all. He carried it around as a lunchbox for about 4 months before losing it to The Miz. So it was a weird decision. But I suppose if you can have a weird, bonkers, crazy match like this, I suppose a crazy winner probably doesn't hurt, I guess, in their eyes, because what crazy you do. Who wins alternatively in your mind if it's not Otis? I suppose.
I mean, I think anyone else could have won it. Black could have won it. Corbin could have won it. AJ could have won it. Ray could have won it. Hey, anyone else could have won it. Oh, honestly, I remember watching a podcast a couple of days afterwards, like a review of the pay-per-view, and it's two guys that I used to watch, and one of them was genuinely so pissed off that Otis had won, because it was like, it just logically doesn't make sense. The only thing I can think is that they couldn't be bothered to book the briefcase, so they just gave it to Otis, knowing that he was never going to cash it in, and at some point down the line they can just take it off of him. And if they give it to Otis, they haven't got to worry about writing stories or narrative or anything for TV where Otis comes out to challenge Braun Strowman or Drew McIntyre and be like, "Oh, I'm going to come get your title." Oh, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was just, honestly, it's really lazy booking, because they just didn't want to do anything with it on TV.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, to be fair. I think AJ would have been the right winner that year, personally. I think we come up for the Boneyard, he not won the world title. We've started, and we had a fantastic program with the Intercontinental Championship throughout that summer, so maybe it wasn't the right move for him to win it. But at the same time, I think it felt like, the kind of main event in WrestleMania had not been the world champion for a little while. I think he could have been the one that would have benefited most. But
Aleister Black could have done with it as well, because I think after this he goes on to sit in a room waiting for someone to knock on his door for the next 6 months.
It's the lonely part. It's the wrong time to wait for someone to knock on your door. You weren't allowed to leave the house at that point, so
it's true. Yeah, he'd have been sitting there a very long time.
Logic, eh? Anyway, I would say this is easily the craziest Money in the Bank ladder match ever. The most bonkers thing, I think, of an idea. But it did come to life. I think in parts of this it worked. I think, and the question I want to kind of go with it is, I think a lot of people, some people say this is the best Money in the Bank ladder match ever. Some people say it's the worst. I don't think it's fair to grade it with other Money in the Bank ladder matches, purely because of the fact that the ladders are only involved for like the last 7 minutes of this match. This is a totally different concept of a match up until the last moment. It's like saying Money in the Bank this year, everyone starts in the parking lot and they've got to work their way into the arena to get to the ring and then get to the thing, or they've got to start somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. It's kind of like it's got to be judged in amongst cinematic matches, because it's what it is at the end of the day. It's a cinematic match, and it's kind of like you have to judge it with them, and I suppose you have to go to the production value and the whatever else you want to judge on and stuff like that. But yeah, it's probably the most memorable Money in the Bank match. Do you know what I mean? Until something bigger or crazier happens, I think this will go down as, like I said, everyone is going to remember Otis climbing the corporate ladder, AJ and Baron Corbin fumbling it. Do you know what I mean? So it'll go down as the most memorable one.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. But I think it's time to grade it, because let's be fair, we've highlighted some good things, we've highlighted a few bad things, we've laughed a lot. I think it's something to say during this, which is, I think it's a good thing. Laughter's healthy. But all in all, was it good or was it bad? What's your star rating for Money in the Bank for the two matches combined?
I gave it a 4. I loved it, dude. It made me laugh the whole way through. And dude, one part of wrestling is if you can make me laugh, you've instantly won me over. And honestly, I was in tears of laughter at most points through this match. Oscar honestly dives off at the start was just great. The dancing in the elevator. Otis is just hilarious the whole way through until the point where he wins it. Fake doink. Dude, even that's stupidly funny. Shayna Baszler choking out Rey Mysterio. It's a funny match. It's a great laugh. You would recommend someone to go and watch it on the basis of that it is so stupid you need to see it.
I think you've warmed me up a little bit to the star rating I was going. I think it's just been bumped up a little bit. I was going to go with 3.5. That's where I was going to go. But do you know what? You're not wrong with what you're saying. And it was a good time. And the thing is, this whole thing, the women's match is 22 minutes. The men's match is 27 minutes. That time flies by. You could sit there and watch that and you're not bored. You're not bored. Yeah. And even the bad bits, they're kind of humorous at least. 4-star.
You could easily watch it through a few times as well to pick up on little bits that you would have missed the first time around, just because you'd stop wiping the tears from your eyes from laughing so much.
Absolutely. I'm going to agree with you. 4-star. Darn right. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one of the two matches of which was better, what was better?
Oh, Seth versus Drew is a much better match, but my favorite is the Money in the Bank match.
Absolutely. I probably should rephrase the question. Of the two cinematic matches between the men's and the women's, which was better? Who had the better filmed moments, the men's parts or the women's parts?
Baron Corbin commits mass murder. I'm going to have to say the men's.
Can't argue with that, can I? Men's it is.
A man literally kills two guys in order to win a briefcase, not worrying about the consequences of spending the next 20 years in prison. Dude, sold.
Sold. Plus Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles in Vince's office. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah,
it's got to be done. It's got to be done. All right, fair enough. Men's just edges it, to be fair for that. Right, okay. We have concluded Money in the Bank 2020, but we need to go through some of our classic quick fire questions that we ask here. And I think I know what this first one's going to be.
Oh, dear.
What's the OG moment of the night?
The Baron Corbin committing mass murder has to be, really, doesn't it?
Poor Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black. Thankfully, they've lived to tell the tale. Match of the night.
I'm going to give it to Drew and Seth.
It is the match of the night, Drew and Seth. But if you're going on star ratings, I've given it to Money in the Bank. But yeah, Drew and Seth it's a match. It's a proper match rather than cinematic. So it deserves match of the night. Entrance of the night.
Oscar.
Hate to be a parrot, Oscar, because she flies into the action.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great, man. What a way to make a name.
MVP of the night.
Oh yeah. Chucky. I'm going to say Otis because honestly, dude, he made me laugh the whole way through. Like, that's what Otis is there to do. I loved him, man. He made me laugh.
Doink the Clown. No. For me, look, this is cheesy. I know it's cheesy, but it's everybody because 2020 was a time we couldn't do anything. And, arguably, WWE couldn't happen anywhere else other than Florida. They made it happen at the PC. We got some entertainment at a time where a lot of other places you couldn't get it. And those people put themselves at risk to go to work and to perform and to entertain us. So everybody takes MVP, in my opinion. I know it's cheesy.
You cheesy answer, yeah.
Final rating out of 10 for Money in the Bank 2020.
6. Because let's be honest, there's only 2 things worth watching off the show. The rest of it you can probably skip.
I'm going to go with 3. I like the opener as well. So, yeah, I will go with 6.5.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, the opening match is pretty decent. Yeah, no, I think you're right. 6.5 is a fair judgment.
And I think Bayley and Tamina is passable. I think it's all right as well. It's, there's some good stuff. The thing is, it's a quick show. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes. I like a show like that. To be fair,
Yeah.
screw it. I'm bumping it up to a 7 because of the fact that shows when they're shorter, they're better because you've got
film.
content in. Yeah, it's all killer, no filler. So I'm all for that. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for me.
Yep.
Let's go to the comments. Eric, Otis won because he was over at the time. Do you know what?
He was very over.
He was very over. And do you know what? Before the pandemic hit, Otis was massively over in that storyline with Mandy Rose, of course, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby
when he
Roode.
stays at the Rumble and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, crashing out of the Elimination Chamber, and also like the WrestleMania moment. To be fair, if that match had happened in front of fans at WrestleMania Otis versus Ziggler when Mandy went with Otis, that's a WrestleMania moment in front of nobody.
Yeah,
if that was in front of fans, 80,000 people would have gone mental. So yeah.
Agreed. It would have got the same reaction Paul Heyman would have got last week when watching SmackDown, for anyone who's watching this at a later date, when obviously he tells Solo he's not his tribal chief. He would have got the exact same reaction.
Yeah, it's up there with that one indeed. This is a great question from Sid. What's the funniest wrestler's name you've ever heard?
Oh my god,
there are some out there. I can't think of one I really want to say.
Dewdrop is a pretty funny name. Like it's funny in the name that it's just stupid. But honestly, you'd have to go look at the indie scenes to find some of the most outrageous ones. Like if you're talking from a WWE standard, do you know what Prince Albert? No, yeah, is it Prince Albert?
Prince Albert, yeah, that's a fun one.
It's a pretty stupid. It's a funny name, and it's stupid if you know what it is. Yeah, it's bad.
I would say obviously Slapjack is definitely one that definitely was a funny one. But I'm going to go with, just because of the fact I want to be different. You mentioned the indies as well. One that was genuinely made me laugh the first time I heard it. Blue Cane made me laugh the first time I saw it.
I like it.
Yeah, Blue Cane's going to be my answer for you there. Danny grabbing the wrong briefcase was funny. It was pretty dumb. Yeah. We quite like that. It was a good spot. Seth winning the championship and Money in the Bank is going to be great for the product if Seth wins. But I'm going to be honest. We did predictions, and we said Damien Priest is going to retain. I've flip-flopped about 4 times since that prediction stream. A couple of times I thought Seth was going to win. I still think Seth might.
I look forward to Saturday night. It's going to be interesting to watch.
It's going to be very interesting to watch. Iron Verse, we might have a debut tonight on AEW. Is he thinking maybe Otis, maybe? Not Otis, sorry, Ricochet.
Oh, Tucky, AEW, Tucky.
Hold on. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think who it is now. Someone who's just got released. It could be Natalia.
Natalia could be there. Yeah, there's some ideas from that one. Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see if there is one. I think Heyman Adam Page is going to be appearing on that show tonight. If you've seen the short earlier on today that's been posted on the channel, you'll know where I'm going with that.
I saw it.
Top man. What is the worst Money in the Bank ladder match?
See, now, I didn't mind that because, I appreciated the Brock Lesnar that we got after, like the boombox and the comedy skit that we got with Paul Heyman when he told him that he had a calendar year to cash in, and Brock's like, "What? I've got a whole year? I've got to do this right now." I actually kind of like the outcome. Don't get me wrong; it is a stupid way to win it, though. The fact that it's quite controversial. Do you know what? I can't remember off the top of my head all of them. So you'd probably have a better guess at a worse one than what I would suggest. Jack Swagger one.
Yeah, I was saying that was the one I was going to go with. WrestleMania 26 Jack Swagger one, because I think it's quite short. I think it's like 8 wrestlers in it, so I think it's a bit over clustered and it's not the right winner. So I think I would go with that one if I had to do. So yeah, that probably would be it. CD in the house. Good to see you, CD. Hope you're doing well, my friends. This Blue Cane is a comedic character. He certainly is a funny wrestling name for sure. Blue Pants, worst wrestling name he's seen is Blue Pants. There are some bad ones out there, to be fair. Otis won this because a lot of things were happening in the world at the time. Absolutely were indeed. And Otis winning Money in the Bank was one of them. Just to finish off, can you do any impressions of wrestlers?
Only very badly. Now you've put me on the spot. I can't think. Oh yeah, brother, I'm the cream that rises to the top. It's not very good, Macho Man, but it's probably the best one I can do.
Yeah, Macho Man would have been the one I would have gone with. Like,
oh yeah, take it, yeah.
That probably would have been
Yeah, no, I can do some awful impressions, but like I said off the top of my head, you've put me on the spot now. I couldn't think. Yeah, I'm a warrior. You just got to waffle a load of rubbish. That's about it for the warrior.
There you go, Sid. Ask this again. We will try and think about it, see if we can come up with some more for you. Practice. But yeah, we've gone with the classic Macho Man for you for today. And Brock Lesnar may have had a funny gimmick with Money in the Bank, but still didn't need it. Mustafa Ali did need it more. He did need it more. He did need it more. He was screwed. Let's be fair. But we're going to wrap things up there. I think we've done pretty well here. Hour and a half talking about Money in the Bank 2020. We've had some laughs. We've had good times on this one. If you've enjoyed it along with us as well, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. Big thank you to all the comments that have been keeping us busy for the last hour and a half, and a big thank you to NX Steve as well for partaking, watching the show, and reviewing with me.
Always a pleasure, dude. And like I said, as long as I haven't got to watch this again within the next, 5 years, I'm sure I'll be okay with it.
I'll make sure that happens. Next month, SummerSlam. Will be coming up in the next few days, so keep an eye out for it. But always keep an eye on the community page, because that's where stuff is getting involved. And you can also ask your questions on there as well. But that's all from us anyway. Check out Money in the Bank and check out other rewinds on the channel for you right now. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. See you for the next video.